Hi, welcome to Inside the Minds of Authors, the interview show dedicated to get us up close and personal on what drives authors, where they get their ideas from, and the things that keep them going. I'm D.C. Gomez, an indie author, and come and join me in these fun conversations.
My name is Cheryllynn Dyess. I am a Texas transplant, and today I'm going to be reading a flash fiction from A Night Society beginning. It's titled Bloody Holiday. The rolling hills were blanketed in the ivory snowfall of the season as the town's buildings were lit up brightly for the holidays. Crouched on the rooftop of the historic courthouse, the Ancient One closed his eyes and inhaled the scent of the tourists who meandered below. A scent caught his attention. This was unlike any other he had ever smelled. Her scent was sweet and intoxicating, and drove some internal need to have her. Silently, he landed in the street alley where she had just passed, as the air filled with fluffy snowflakes. In front of him were many humans dressed in holiday outfits as Christmas was upon them. White and red fur lined the coats and hats of all of those around, except for one. There was one woman dressed in all black, just as he was. Drake walked up behind the woman as she stopped to peek into a closed shop's window. The woman's blue eyes sparkled as she looked at him through their reflections. Happy holidays. The woman's voice was soft and melodic. He stepped up close to her where there was barely an inch between them. Hello, beautiful. Are you enjoying our town? She turned to him. Of course. It was my destiny to come here. I'm glad you found me. Your destiny? The Ancient One asked in confusion. Of course. I've had dreams of this town for years and finally gave in. He held the crook of an elbow out as a silent invitation for them to walk together. She smiled up at him and placed her arm within his. Did your dream tell you anything more? They walked until the sidewalk ended at the oldest cemetery of the town. There were no lights, but the gates were open, and he led them through. My dream told me I was to be your queen. He stopped and looked at her. With a finger, he raised her chin. You are not like the others at all. You are not afraid of the darker things, nor me. I am definitely not like the others. I am a witch, and I have seen my destiny. If you are here for your destiny, enter my chamber, and let me make you my queen. You've not yet asked my name. How rude of me. He bowed deep. Madam, I wish to make you my queen, but you are correct. I do need to know your name. She gave a curtsy. As she rose, she glanced up at the Ancient One. I am Amdris, and I am to be your queen this holiday. He stepped up to her as she moved her hair away from her neck and leaned her head so that the jugular was exposed fully. He pulled her by the waist and leaned in close to her neck. Are you certain? He wanted to give her one last chance to refuse him. She pressed her neck against the razor-sharp teeth. Happy holidays, my king.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Minds of Authors. Today we have the amazing Cheryllynn with us, and she just read flash fiction for us. So tell us, madam, where did this piece come from?
This was a flash fiction for Halloween. The subject of it was holiday romance, a dark romance kind of thing. So this is what my mind came up with.
I like it.
Thank you. My mind's a little twisted, so it works well.
So how would you describe your writing?
Poetic. My words, they tend to flow like verses of poetry. Really, when I write, I just write what comes to my mind and I put it down. I love to catch all the senses when I write. I want you to hear things. I want you to see things. I want you to smell them. I want you to feel them in my writing. So that's what I try to put in there.
So tell us, who is your ideal audience?
Open-minded individuals, first and foremost, because I like to write things that push the limits of beliefs in reality. Next, I tend to want people who are adults because my writings are a little more twisted and adults tend to understand better the concepts of what I'm writing. So anyone 18 and above, really.
And what genre are you writing in?
I write young adult, paranormal, and fantasy.
So tell us, do your books usually have a message to them?
Absolutely. Most of my books have some sort of inspiring message to tell people that it's okay to be yourself, to be unique, to be different than others, and not to worry about what society thinks about you, because at the end of the day, you have to be happy with yourself.
I love that message. So, how long have you been writing for?
Well, my first book I published was in 2012. So that's 8 years published, but I've been writing since I was a teenager, so 30 plus years.
So, are you traditionally published or are you an indie author, madam?
I am an indie author. I decided to go that route so that it wouldn't take quite as long to get my work out to the public for readers to be able to enjoy my stories.
What motivated you to start publishing?
My husband, to be honest, he was the one that pushed me into it. He had read some work that I had saved from when I was a teenager and a young adult that I had done. And I always just kept it in the back of the closet and never paid attention to it. And he read some of it one day and he set it down. He looked at me. He goes, "Why aren't you doing this for a living?" So I simply replied, "I have bills." So he set up life for us so that I could stay home and write. In 2012, he looked at me, he goes, "Why don't you write a story?" 4 months later, I had my first book written.
Ooh, that's awesome motivation.
Yeah, he's been a huge supporter and a big inspirer for me.
I love it. So tell us, what was that first story about?
Calistan is the first story I wrote. It's about a young girl named Jean, and she lives in a matriarchal society where the gender roles are very specific. Women do the government and they're in charge, and they really don't do any of the heavy work. That the hunting and the heavy work are all for the men. Jean, of course, since she was a young girl, she was always into being in the garden and working the fields with her dad and brothers and wanting to hunt with them, and she just goes against every rule there is, and she becomes one of the best hunters in Calistan. She deals with problems from the governess. She deals with problems from her mother, from her friends, who all tell her, "Hey, this is not what you're supposed to be doing," kind of thing. But she does it anyway. And in the end, the governess and her mom actually come to her for help, and it kind of goes from there.
What genre would you describe this story as?
It is definitely fantasy. It's in a world, in a galaxy I created. I created all the races, the animals, the plants, everything. Everything is from my mind. It is a young adult fantasy, definitely adventure. As you get towards the end of the book and into books 2 and 3, there's more romance into it.
Do you normally write series or do you do standalone? What do you preferred?
Actually, I do both. I have 2 completed series, and then I have 4 standalones.
You have been writing for a while, so how many books do you currently have?
20.
Ooh, you're a busy lady.
Yeah, I didn't realize I had so many out till the other day when I had to like list them for a form I was filling out, and I was like, wow, I've done a lot more than I realized. Yeah, I didn't realize I had done that much, to be honest with you, because I don't think about it as in volume. I think about it as in stories.
Speaking of stories, so where do your stories come from? Tell us about that.
Just about everywhere. I have one of the weirdest working minds in the world, because I can look at something and, okay, we'll say this. Forgotten Soul is one of my standalones. It's about angels and demons. And don't ask me where the correlation is, because I have no clue. Walked into my den from my office and I looked at my couch and the story popped into my mind.
That is incredible.
The weirdest ways stories come to me. Like Calistan is the first in Jean's journey. That whole series came to me in a dream, literally. My witch series started out in a dream. Let's see, Multifaceted was actually an idea given to me by a classmate I had. He said, "We ought to have stories from the perspective of a stone." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I just kind of set it aside. 2.5 years later, Multifaceted, came back to my head and I wrote it, and now I've got the story.
Your ability to come up with stories and let your imagination run is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
That is huge.
Yeah, the strangest things create stories for me. I've taken Bible verses actually, and that's why I said people have to have an open mind when they read my stuff, because I took a Bible verse and I actually made a short story out of it. Created an angel who gave magic to the fairies to protect the Garden of Eden, and then later on gave it to the humans, which were Adam and Eve.
Oh, wow, that is really an awesome premise.
So I take inspiration from anything and everything.
So tell us, what is your definition of success?
Having my stories touch the heart of a reader and make a difference. That's my success.
That is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Now, if I made a lot of money, that'd be another sort of success. But that's not what I aim for. If I was aiming for that, I probably wouldn't be writing today. I want to inspire people. I want to change lives.
Your stories definitely touch people. They have an impact that they're really easy to connect and relate to. So changing the subject a little, have you ever been stuck in writer's block? What do you do to combat that? Because it doesn't sound like it, but have you?
Yeah, I'm actually in a current one right now.
What? Yeah. What are you doing to overcome writer's block? What's going on?
Well, I am currently putting 2 of my books into audio. I am working on some admin side part of the author stuff where I'm building my newsletter, working on advertisements. I also create covers. So I've been working on graphic design, reading and watching TV. Sometimes I just need a couple months off and then something will trigger me and I'll be right back at it and I'll be in the words for months on it.
I like the fact that you're not just idle, that you actually have other stuff going on while this is happening.
I can't sit idle. I've never been a person that's been able to do that. My kid that lives with me now, he'll tell you it drives him nuts because I have to be doing something. If I'm sitting down watching TV, I'm doing something on my phone or my iPad, or I'm crocheting, or I've got some other project going because I always have to feel like I'm being productive of some sort.
That's very impressive. Do you have a favorite book?
I have favorite books in the moments that I'm reading them. Each story that I read, if I read a book to the end, which 99% of the time I will, I love that book at that moment because that has captivated me. It has drawn me into that world. It has let me escape the world I'm in, and it has let me live the lives of the characters in the book. So in that moment, it is my very favorite book. But then when I go to another book, that book might be my favorite for that moment. I
really like that. That's kind of exciting. So you're definitely going to have a lot of favorite books throughout the year.
I read between 50 and 75 books a year, so I have lots of favorites.
Do you actually have a favorite author?
Edgar Allan Poe.
Really?
Yes. He was introduced to me when I was in middle school, and I got to read more of his stuff in high school. The grammar teacher who introduced me, it was a writing project we were doing, and he told me he thought I would like this particular author, and I read The Raven. I was blown away. Here is this man. He takes all of the darkness in the world, he embraces it, and then he gives it back to the world. To me, that just fit me perfectly. I've always had a very dark childhood, very dark upbringing and things like that. So to find someone who was so well liked and well known becomes such an inspiration for others to be able to embrace that same darkness, be able to do something positive with it. I felt like I had a connection, like he was my inspiration in the type of writing that I do.
So tell us, madam, you have lots of little things you've been telling us about you're working on. You have audiobooks. I know you have other things in the mix. So tell us a little bit about your ongoing projects. What do you have going on right now?
Like I said, I have 2 books in audio production right now. One is part of a Queen collection, and that is an anthology with a bunch of authors who will be going to Literary Love Savannah in July. And then the other book I have in production is A Witch's Dream World, which is my first in the Chronicles of Elizabeth Fairbairn series. So those 2 are 2 major projects that are working. As far as writing, I do have some projects that are not complete. I have Time Inside, which is book 2 of the Gifted and Special Adolescents Hospital series. And it's about children with special powers who end up in a mental hospital for one reason or another, whether it's because they were criminal or because the families couldn't control them. But inside this hospital, we tell the stories of kids and what their lives become. Another series that I'm working on is called Elementally Bound, and I'll be working with the 5 elements, which is water, air, earth, fire, and spirit. And each book, the main characters are shifters in those elements. So say for water, we'll have selkies and merpeople. Merfolk will have, shark shifters, all kinds of things. But each of the books will touch on a real life problem in our world. So for Waterbound, my real life problem is shark finning. It's a huge problem. It's inhumane and torturous and something that I feel really passionate about. So that will be the main premise behind the book. So those are my next writing projects that I'm working on.
Your writing is so diverse and they have so many different layers to them.
You can read it for what it is, or you can dive in deep and extract all the meaning from it.
Okay, so I love it. I love the diversity. You have me all captivating. So tell us, you've been in the business for a while, so you're understanding. Do you have any advice for any upcoming authors, any upcoming writers that you want to share with us?
Learn all you can and write what you love.
Where?
Join author groups. Find somebody who you respect to mentor you, somebody who's willing to take you under their wing. Learn about social media, learn about newsletters, learn about publishing so you know your options and you understand all of the terminology that goes into it. There's so much more to writing a book than just putting words on a page. And people don't realize that. It can take us months and years to write a book. You can read it in 2 hours. But what it took to get that book, the author has to understand when they started, it is not an overnight production. And that way I say learn all you can.
That is absolutely a loaded advice, and sometimes we take for granted all the behind the scenes that comes with putting together a book.
Absolutely. It's shameful that we take advantage of it, but not everybody knows and understands that. So when I come across somebody who, oh, I want to write a book, will you help me? I'll be more than glad to mentor you. I love mentoring people. I love helping people. And I just let them know, expect to work. Writing a book is not just about enjoying the words that you flow on a page. There's editing upon editing upon editing, and then there's formatting, and then there's book covers, and there's, oh well, how am I going to get it in front of readers? So then you're into a whole new spectrum of marketing that I got lost for a year and a half in one time, just learning stuff on marketing. So it's a huge task you take when you go to write a book.
I really think the writing part of this side is the easy, the other side is the business part.
The writing part is the easiest part. I absolutely agree with you. That's
a little
the
more than that.
steak of the dinner.
Yes.
The spinach and asparagus is the rest of it, where, oh, I gotta eat my vegetables now.
So, madam, you have a very busy schedule right now. You got audiobooks you're working on, you have future books you want to do, we're talking conventions. How would you like to finish the rest of the year
I would love to finish this year with Time Inside done, at least 2 of the Elementally Bound done, as far as books being out to the public and to the readers. And I want to be able to have another successful event in Savannah. It's an event I've done for the last 2 years. I absolutely love it. And I'm hoping things kind of, smooth themselves out with this virus so that we'll be able to go do that and enjoy it and just have like a mini vacation. It's like a book vacation with readers.
So tell us a little more, madam. What is Savannah? What is it all about?
It's a book convention. It is 4 days of nothing but books. I mean, every aspect of books you can think of. We have 2 different signings in there, but that's not even the focus of the event. The focus of the event is for us authors to be able to get to know the readers, for the readers to get to know us and spend time with us. We have many parties. We have tons of panels where the authors talk, and the readers and other authors get to sit in and listen. We have all kind of goodies. I know one thing I'm in a young adult section, and we're looking at doing games for nothing but an hour, just sitting down having fun with board games, card games, different things like that. The Queen collection, we're having a chocolate party. There's a candy party. They have movie night. We're going to have inflatables in the entrance to the hotel as giant blow up slides and climbing walls. And it's basically a 4-day party where the readers and authors get to be able to spend time together. And it's like going home to family. It's a 5-star hotel right there on River Street on Savannah River in Georgia. And it is the most beautiful area and historic place that I think anyone and everyone should go.
This is absolutely a whole different type of convention that I'm pretty sure most people are not familiar and they're not used to seeing it. So I'm sure everybody's kind of curious and excited about it.
Most people, when they go to signings, it's a 4-hour sign. You go, you stroll from desk to desk to table to table, barely get any time to talk to the authors or readers. You don't have a lot of interaction or anything like that. And this convention is just the opposite. We have a short signing on Thursday. That's an hour. And that's actually not even a signing. That's just for anyone who did pre-orders for bundles or specials that the authors are running. And then Thursday, there's a 3.5, 4 hours signing, but from Wednesday night to Sunday morning, from, I want to say we start at 9 some days, and then a lot of days we don't end till after midnight. And it's nothing but going from one little event to the next little event, all within the same big convention, and it's wonderful. So I can't imagine anyone not wanting to go.
So, are you ready for a lightning round?
Okay.
So, take a deep breath. This is easy. They're quick and easy and fun. We're going to start with some easy ones for you. Are you ready? Summer or winter?
Ooh, summer. That was hard.
That was hard. So here's a little bit more challenging one. If you could pick an animal, fictional or real, that would fit your personality, what would it be?
What animal fits my personality, real or fictional? Wow. The Black Panther.
Why?
Well, it's kind of mysterious, so people don't always understand it. It's sleek, it's beautiful, it's majestic. Many times it's solitary. It's sly. It kind of sneaks up on you. And I've been told my friendship kind of works that way. My friendship kind of sneaks up on people because when people first meet me, they don't know what to expect.
Okay, wow, that is an amazing and beautiful description. I am loving that one. Nice. If you could play any character in a movie, who would it be?
Oh, wow. That's a hard one. Maleficent. She is, first of all, she's sexy and she's dark and she's twisted. I love it. That's right up my alley.
Here is the next one. If you were not an author, what would be your ideal profession?
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Really?
I actually have a bachelor's in healthcare administration and healthcare information systems. I worked in healthcare for 20 years. It does fit perfectly. I love to help others and make them better than what they are and help encourage them. So,
Madam, it has been such an honor and pleasure to have you on this show with us today. Do you have any closing remarks for us?
I appreciate you taking the time and talking with me and letting everyone get to know me.
It was absolutely a pleasure. Glad you have me. And for everybody else, thank you so much for joining us in another episode of Inside the Minds of Authors. Please stay tuned for next week where we have another fabulous author joining us. And thank you and have an amazing day.